human intervention to succeed. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
During Lowe's Pro Savings Days, the job works in your favor. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members buy more and save more on materials they rely on every day. Get up to 25% off select molding when you spend $1,000 or more, and up to 25% off Pergo Evercraft laminate flooring. Put Pro Savings Days to work for you. Members get more at Lowe's. Valid through 3/27. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit the Pro Desk or Lowes.com/terms for more details. Subject to change.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah. Da, 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 da.
Welcome to the program. You've made it to Friday. Today is March 27th, 2026. Got some interesting stuff lined up for you, or at least I think this information is interesting because it has to do with money. It may be the root of all evil, but you have to have it. But you can't have too much of it because if you're too rich, then we hate you. So you have to be, I guess, not rich, but being poor isn't cool either. But you just can't be too rich, otherwise people are going to hate you for having too much money. But money is an important topic in a capitalist society like we have. A lot of you are at work. A lot of you might be looking for work. A lot of you might be on your way to work. Some of you work from home. Some of you have a hybrid office, but we have careers and we do things to make money. Hopefully those things are legitimate and they are legal, but we have to have money nonetheless. I probably will remind you as the date grows nearer. Money is important because we need money for ourselves and to pay our living expenses, to buy little things, to go out to eat. And some of you don't tip, but that's fine. But the government needs money too. The IRS tax deadline is looming, and some of you are going to get a big old return. Some of you have gotten your returns already, and you've already spent them. Some of you are going to owe Uncle Sam. And that's never a fun thing, because if you are paying the government, what exactly are you getting for the return on your investment? So we're going to have some conversations about money today, but not in a traditional sense. I want to give a different perspective of cost. The costs that we are facing, and some of the costs are our fault. They're staggering. I have some details I want to share with you about just the cost of the lack of productivity. There's an actual dollar amount that is assigned to schools that are poor performing, not necessarily the amount of money they cost us as taxpayers, and of course that's a cost that we incur as well, but the cost of low performing, unprepared students has a cost. I would argue that one of the biggest social anomalies that we face in this country, and there are many, is racial bias, discrimination, prejudice, and bigotry. And a lot of those are emotional responses. Someone responds emotionally to someone of a different race, different culture, different ethnicity, and then the person who is receiving those insults, that bigotry, that prejudice, that racism, they have an emotional response as well. But have we ever thought about the actual cost? Because we can talk about racism and bias all day long, and then if you talk about it long enough, then white people are going to tell you how they're discriminated against too. Boy, oh boy, do I feel sorry for the whites, because that reverse racism is probably worse. It's so bad for them. It's really awful. But there is a cost that is associated with the bias that we talk about every single day. And I want to give this perspective, not that it is going to change any minds. I just want to know that our ignorance is collectively digging into the American pocket. And once I share this information with you, you really are going to be enlightened, because I had no idea that it was this expensive. Because we hear about these individual incidents, or maybe something will happen at a company. Every now and again, you'll have some employees at a company that'll, make a noose, and they'll put it on the work locker of their black employees. Well, that costs money, because that black employee is going to sue. And assuming they get some kind of a fair hearing, they're probably going to win that lawsuit, and that company is going to have to pay some kind of restitution. So I did some digging and a little bit of math to see in a year, or in a 10-year span, or in the span of a generation, exactly how much have these incidents of prejudice, bigotry, and racial bias cost the country, including, and I would say if we have a majority Caucasian school in a suburban enclave somewhere, and there are measurable differences in the output and the performance of that suburban school district versus an urban city district, whether it be in Milwaukee or whether it be somewhere else, there's costs associated with that as well. Now, we keep telling people to get into the trades, and I think I'm turning a corner on the trades. I just don't want us to universally push the trades on black kids and black boys, especially because we think they can't do anything else. I think that's a bit short-sighted. There's a tremendous amount of math and science and technical know-how that you have to be experienced with to be decent at any trade. It is not easy. And what we come to find out, when we do push some young, I shouldn't even say push, there are some young men that want to work with their hands. They want to be a carpenter and a welder. They want to be a plumber. Side note, plumbing is gross. You guys, some of you know some of the reasons why you've had to call a plumber before. Imagine being that person walking into your bathroom. My word. And they deserve to make all the money that they make. Plumbers do. But there are some people, young people, maybe even middle-aged people or old people, they have an aptitude for such things. But keep this in mind. If that person who has an aptitude for being a welder or an electrician or HVAC or anything in the trades, if they went to a poor performing school, not just here but anywhere around the country, they're going to have to take additional classes to make up for the remedial levels that they have in reading comprehension, and math. There's an additional cost to that. So I'm going to be sharing with you some some staggering figures because there really is a dollar amount affixated to racial bias and prejudice in this country. Before I get to that, so this is a subject that I don't talk about very often just because it seems so distant, but I think I need to make it more plain and demystified a little bit. You know, you hear about the country's debt and the national debt, and it's this number, and it's infinitely large. And I think somewhere in Times Square, they have somewhere a national debt counter. It's like a ticker, and it shows how much the national debt is going up every single second. And it's a staggering dollar amount. Well, I did a little reading because today's show is going to be focused on cost. What are these things costing us? Things that we can remedy. And also, where else black folks can get our reparations from. That'd be nice to get a nice... I think I'd like my reparations in one lump sum. Some of you may take the installment. When I provide the details of how much money we are wasting on ignorance, our reparations are more than paid for. Forever. But let's start with our country's national debt. Now, you may know this already. I'm sure you do because a lot of you are very smart people. Republicans tend to explode borrowing because they give major tax breaks to people that don't even ask for them. And this is money that we need going into the Treasury so that we can have a federal government that can invest in its people, that can renew our infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, we need to have a military. I don't think our military needs to be as large as it is. But when you are cutting taxes, that is less income for the federal government to return back to the people for investments in our workforce, colleges and universities, infrastructure, all of the things. Personally, I don't think there should be a single lead water pipe anywhere in the United States. And we oftentimes have the money to replace all of them. If we don't have clean drinking water, then all the other things that our government wastes money on seem to be secondary. And we know that in the city of Milwaukee, while the process is slow, they are trying to remove all the lead water pipes. They started with the school district, and maybe that was one of the problems as to why our children were performing so poorly. They're drinking metal in the water, and lead makes you nuts. It makes you batty. Speaking of which, maybe I should get tested for lead. However, I digress. The U.S. government is broke. From this article that appears in Fortune magazine. That's not hyperbole. It's the conclusion drawn directly from the Treasury Department's own consolidated financial statements for this current fiscal year. $6.06 trillion in total assets. So that's how much we have. That's all our stuff. That's all of your income taxes. That's all of the stored precious metals that we have. That's all of our gold reserves and our silver reserves and our platinum and our palladium. It even includes the oil that we have because, you know, the United States has got some oil. So we have $6.06 trillion. That's not a small number. Now, I'm going to break down further because a trillion is such a huge number. It's kind of hard to conceptualize. A trillion is a million stacks of $1 million. So we have 6 million stacks of $1 million each in our total assets. That ain't bad when you think about it, okay? But here's what our debts are. $47.78 trillion. That's how many liabilities we have currently, and we only have $6 trillion in the bank. Imagine you owe your landlord $47. But you only have $6. It's just a matter of time before you get evicted. Importantly, the $47.78 trillion in liabilities does not include the unfunded obligations of social infrastructure programs like Social Security and Medicare. Those are disclosed separately off the balance sheet statement. So we actually are in deeper debt than the $47.78 trillion. But I'm going to give you a solution as to how we can get some of this money back. All is not lost. Let me continue. The government's consolidated balance sheet position, excluding Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, deteriorated by $2.07 trillion between 2024 and 2025, reaching a staggering $41.72 trillion. Total liabilities are nearly 8 times the value of America's combined assets. The largest drivers were a $2 trillion increase in the federal debt and interest that is payable, which is now $30.33 trillion, and a $438.8 billion increase in federal employee and veteran benefits, now $15.47 trillion. Please keep this in mind. They tell me they were involved in a war currently with Iran. Keep in mind that there are going to be individuals who are going to serve in this military campaign, and we don't know how long it's going to go on. So there will be the cost of the war. Then there will be the extended cost that we're on the hook for to take care of the veterans and the veterans' families because of this war. I just wish we thought this thing through. And so maybe there's cause for military operations. And I'm not saying the war is never necessary. Sometimes it is, but we have to keep in mind the cost and the long-term cost of that war. Sometimes we can't afford to fight with people. Sometimes we just going to have to work it out and do some diplomacy because we don't have the money to take care of our veterans now and into the future. The off-balance sheet picture is even more alarming. The 75-year unfunded social insurance obligation surged by $10.1 trillion in a single year. Want to know why that is? Because y'all are living longer. If you retire at, what's the retirement age? I don't even know, 65? And you live to be 90? You are collecting Social Security for 25 years. When the program started, life expectancy was 67. You retired at 65, you were dead 2 years later. Now, because people are living longer, we got to continue to pay them. In fact, you might have a situation where someone may receive more money in Social Security, Medicare, and or Medicaid benefits than they ever paid in. And we're going to still continue to give those folks their benefits because we told them their entire lives that they were entitled to them, but we don't have the money for it. Another problem is this. We're fast approaching this very unusual number, and the number is 2.7. 2.7 people working for every person that is retired. And if a lot of those wages are low, the amount of money that is being paid into Social Security is just enough to pay the current retirees, but is not enough to make sure that we have money for the people that are currently working. So if you're Gen Z, Gen Alpha, I hope y'all got money in the stock market because Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid ain't looking too good for y'all. And for that, I do apologize. The off-balance sheet picture is even more alarming. The 75-year unfunded Social Security obligation surged by $10.1 trillion in a year, rising from $78.3 trillion to $88.4 trillion from 2024 to 2025, driven primarily by a $6.9 trillion jump in projected Medicare Part B shortfalls and another $2.5 trillion increase for the Social Securities. The Treasury's statement of long-term fiscal projections show the 75-year fiscal gap widening from 4.3% of our GDP, so that's the total combined American economy, to 4.7% in fiscal year 2025. If the $88.4 trillion in 75 off-year balance sheet obligations were added to the $47.8 trillion in official balance sheet debt this country has, total federal obligations would now exceed $136.2 trillion, roughly 5 times the size of the American economy. We'll take a break, come back, further explain, and then break these numbers down into something that's much more tangible and easy to understand. Bottom line is, we have no more money. What's going to happen is the Trump administration is going to have to print more money so we can pay the interest on our debt. And if you guys learn from all those stimulus checks we got during the pandemic, when you print money, inflation goes up. Putting more dollars into circulation just makes the dollar worth less because there are more of them in the economy and prices are going to rise. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
On the U.S. government's fiscal year financial statements. The 29th consecutive year, it has been unable to determine whether the statements are fairly presented. This is primarily due to the serious ongoing financial management problems at the Department of Defense and weakness in accounting for interagency transactions. The broad view is the current executive of the United States, who's spending a tremendous amount of money. Like, we didn't need a ballroom. Think about just the unnecessary $300 million deconstruction of, was the West Wing, the East Wing, one of them wings. He tore it down. I guess there was like a bomb shelter underneath. They had to redo and relocate the bomb shelter. And he's building this 90,000 square foot ballroom. The ballroom that is getting built, not only is going to, well, they estimate it's going to cost $300 million. It's probably going to be more than that. It's bigger than the White House itself. The White House is 55,000 square feet. The ballroom is 90,000. We are spending money that we don't have. And so when we come up with solutions, like, oh, we need to invest in youth-serving programs, or maybe, just maybe, ladies and gentlemen, we could bring the trades back into the high schools. Had a conversation last night about Milwaukee Tech, which isn't the same tech now that it was many, many years ago. But there was a number of MPS schools where you could get a fair amount of training by the time you got your high school diploma, and you can go directly into the workforce. Or at least it would ready you for being a journeyman, or it would ready you for and give you the foundation so you could, in fact, have a career in the trades and wouldn't have to spend all that extra money on tuition. So that very well may be a good idea, because we want people to go directly from high school and either into higher education or directly into the economy. But investments in education would be necessary for that to happen. And if we, as a body politic in the city of Milwaukee, say, hey, you know what, we want to invest more money in specific things for our public school children, but we don't have the money because the federal government is broke, and at the same time, Donald Trump is dismantling the U.S. Department of Education. In fact, there are so few people left in the U.S. Department of Education. And essentially what they do is they provide resources and grants to cities and to states so that we can have the programs that make sense for Milwaukee or for Madison or for Green Bay. They also, here's another big one, what the U.S. Department of Education does or used to do, is they investigate cases of bias and discrimination in America's school system. There's so few people working at the U.S. Department of Education, they are moving out of their building into smaller chambers. Most people, the article says, cannot relate to trillion-dollar figures on a government balance sheet. So consider this. Divide every number by 100 million. Don't worry, I'm going to do it for you. Drop 8 zeros, and federal finances will look like a household budget that is in free fall. All right, here we go. A household that earns $52,446 a year, which I guess that's not a lot. How many people are in the household, though? $52,446 is decent for one person with no children. I think you probably can afford rent and food and a car, okay? But if your salary, to make these numbers a little bit more understandable, is $52,446 a year, but you're spending $73,000 $378 a year, you are running a $20,932 annual deficit. A lot of times that'll go on your credit card. It's very common. Your salary and your income is not enough to meet your obligations. You might have a car loan, you got to pay rent, you may have medical bills. I don't think this is an uncommon scenario where you make $50,000, but you actually end up spending $70,000 in that year and you got $20,000 worth of credit card debt. Its total liabilities and unfunded promises amount to. So the same person who makes $52,446 a year, they spend $73,378 a year. They're running a $20,932 annual deficit. And total liabilities and unfunded promises amount to $1,361,788 against just $60,554 in assets, leaving a $1.3 million deficit. So if you make $50,000 a year and your assets are $60,000, you have a total debt of $1.3 million, you're going to be broke forever. So that essentially is the United States. We, to make the numbers more understandable, have an income of $52,446 as a nation, but we owe $1.3 million, meaning we'll never pay it off. Congress has clearly lost control of the nation's finances, and this is coming from the Treasury Department. America is facing a fiscal catastrophe. The reckoning, long deferred, is becoming impossible to ignore. And this article is from, let me get you a date on this, because I guarantee it's from March 23rd. So the article is as recent as the war has started, so basically double, if not triple, all of these numbers. Addressing this crisis and preventing recurrence requires two specific legislative actions, none of which will happen, and let me tell you why. During these midterm elections, which are looming, we have a primary here in Wisconsin. Well, you got a Supreme Court race on April 7th. Go vote for Chris Taylor. All right, there you go. We'll have a primary in the state of Wisconsin, statewide primary in August, and we will have a general election for governor, House of Representatives, et cetera, and state offices in November. The debt will not even come up in conversation amongst the voters. That is why these things are going to get ignored. First, Congress has to pass the bipartisan H.R. 3289 Fiscal Commission Act, sponsored by Representative Bill Huizenga, a Republican, and Scott Peters, a Democrat, and has 41 co-sponsors. Such a commission would force a public reckoning with the facts, the trade-offs, and the hard choices that restoring fiscal health requires. Keeping in mind, when Bill Clinton and Al Gore were president and vice president, not only were all of our debts paid off, we had a surplus. George Bush gets elected and then sends that entire surplus back to the American people. You guys remember getting your $600 as an individual and your $900 as a family back in 2001? Because George Bush felt guilty for stealing the election in the year 2000. So he drained the budget surplus that we had as a nation. And that was a lot of money. 25 years ago, $600 is a hell of a lot more then than it is now. And immediately the country went into debt upon George Bush entering office, not to mention the trillions of dollars that we spent on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, wars that we ultimately lost. Modeled on Switzerland's debt break, such amendments would mandate a balanced budget over the business cycle and prohibit federal spending from growing faster than the U.S. economy. So there you go. The richest country in the nation is broke. I'm going to take a break, come back. I'm going to look at where we are just hemorrhaging money in ways that people don't often consider. And it's in the lost productivity that is a result of racial bias that exists in this country. Very interesting stuff. Hope you stick around. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Gruber Law Offices. One call,
That's all.
They treated me like family.
They're actually people that you can depend on.
They made me feel seen. They really treated me like I was a part of their family, a part of their team.
They ask how you're doing, how you're feeling.
They're just so welcoming and so sweet and kind.
It's like family, caring about another member of the family.
If you've been injured, it costs you nothing to see if Gruber Law Offices can help.
Milwaukee, this is the night you don't want to miss. The Analysis Live is back, March 27th at the Riverside Theater in downtown Milwaukee. You never know who's going to step on stage. The Analysis has shocked the crowd in past years with surprise appearances by Giannis and Stephen A. Smith. This year, Ric Flair headlines The Analysis Live. The WWE legend, the Hall of Famer, the Nature Boy. You know there will be plenty of surprises. Friday night, March 27th at the Riverside Theater. Lock in your tickets now. TALiveshow.com. That's TALiveshow.com.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
Metastatic breast cancer, or stage 4 breast cancer, happens when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body. About 168,000 women are living with it today, with Black women at a higher risk due to various factors. Research has led to treatments that help manage the disease and improve quality of life. The Everyday Counts study explores how nutrition and exercise coaching can support women with metastatic breast cancer. To learn more about the Everyday Counts study in Milwaukee, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu. If you or someone you know has stage 4 breast cancer, please encourage them to call and enroll in this valuable study. Again, call 414-955-8819 or email edc@mcw.edu.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Probably the biggest plague harming this nation, and it's been a consistent plague, has been essentially just ignorance, not knowing the truth and the facts, especially about other people and other cultures. And if you don't know anything about these people, you can very easily see them as some kind of a threat. And if you don't know anything about these people and their culture because you have been deprived of knowing history, it's easy to see these people as bad or evildoers. And then when they commit a crime, you have even more reason to hate these individuals. And so this kind of ignorance, it can spread. And it can go from generation to generation, and it is maintained. In fact, the ignorance now has been so perfected, and it's been politicized. You can have a coalition of people, a coalition of voters that can form their own movement based on this shared ignorance. And ultimately, not only is it ridiculous, it's costing us a tremendous amount of money. You know, Black people have tried a lot of things. We've tried art, culture, performance, our music, our movies, to shed light on what we face, what we deal with on an ongoing basis in this country. But here's the thing. It's not like every single day, all the time, we're being called the N-word, but there are things in our society that are just fixed, like they're written in stone, and it's to the detriment of African Americans. And we tell people about it, we complain about it, but nothing gets done because too many people see it as just an emotional issue. Because there is some emotion connected to racism and prejudice and bigotry, etc. But there's a cost as well, and it costs everybody. And the fact that we know that there's a cost and we are willing to maintain this cost, even in the face of insurmountable debt that this country is in. When I give you these details of how much racism and bigotry and prejudice cost this nation, it is staggering. But it's also, I think it's a uniquely American thing because without me getting into the details, just think of a couple of shortcomings that the current commander-in-chief has. And people are willing to accept those shortcomings. And there's a very long and growing list of those shortcomings, but they're willing to accept his shortcomings because he hates the same way that a lot of his voters and supporters do. So they're willing to overlook his many shortcomings. And when I say shortcomings, he's committed a lot of felonies. He's broken lots of laws, but they're willing to overlook that. There's also a pretty significant connection with a fella, Jeffrey Epstein, that this president cannot run from. But people are willing to accept that too because he, the commander-in-chief, hates the same way and hates the same people that a lot of his voters and supporters do, even if it comes at a cost. When I reveal these costs, I want you to think about healthcare, funding education fully at every single level, including paying for college. I want you to think about infrastructure investments, roads, bridges, airports, lead water laterals, everything that we think we cannot pay for. We have the money for it, and we can pay off our debt if we just remedy the ignorance that creates the generations of bigotry and racism and prejudice. Long-term cumulative costs, $16 trillion in lost American productivity between the years 2000 and 2020, specifically due to racial discrimination against Black Americans alone. $16 trillion in lost gross domestic product in just 20 years. And this doesn't even include all the other races. Now, if you look at the racial profiling that is going on with immigration and customs enforcement, like that's a lot of money too. Like hiring all these ICE agents. Like these ICE agents got, what, $50,000 signing bonuses, and they got their student loans forgiven, and who knows what their salaries are. But it's a federal department that is funded to be essentially racist against several different groups of people. Africans, Somalians, those from Latin America, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just looking at what it costs racial bias against African Americans. This does not include all the other groups that are impacted by this as well. $51 trillion in economic output loss between 1990 and the year 2020 from racial inequality across groups. These imply $800 billion to $2 trillion every single year in lost economic output depending on methodology and scope. Even on the low end, our ignorance about other races, cultures, and ethnicities, with African Americans being the primary victims of this, is costing this country between $800 and $2 trillion per year. So all of the things that we say we can't afford, we absolutely could if we worked on and invested in having less racial bias in this country. And that was just the first category. Health disparities and direct productivity losses. $451 billion a year in excess medical costs, premature deaths, and lost labor productivity, and the majority of the burden falls on African Americans at 69% of the total. Education inequality, underfunded schools, plus what we call readiness gaps. I have an article on NPS, I may or may not get to it, where Brenda Caselius, the superintendent of the district, is cutting between 201 and 263 jobs at NPS to address a $47 million budget shortfall. I have a lot of questions. I may propose some of these questions to you. Where I should propose these questions is to the superintendent herself, because I remember MPS just got $287 million from us. And how do I know? Because my taxes went up. Yeah, I got a shortfall in my escrow now, where I now owe $1,100 more in property taxes than I did last year. And the district still is facing a $40+ million budget deficit. Where did we just gave y'all? Because I remember there was a vote. It was a referendum. $252 million. That's $250 million. And, y'all, that was 2 years ago. And apparently that money is gone or blown through some kind of way to now the district can't even balance its own budget after they just got $250 million. Not to mention the amount of money that Evers has been throwing in public education since he's been in office. Y'all going to have to make this make sense to me. Yeah, I'll talk about that later. It's going to bother me if I don't. Education inequality plus underfunded schools and the readiness gaps, $978 billion every single year tied to education-related inequities, especially below the college level. This includes lower lifetime earnings, reduced productivity. This is $1 trillion a year in our racially biased, poor output public schools. Oh, by the way, if you haven't done so already, go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 1017 The Truth, hit subscribe, and then you'll be able to stream this program and also vote in our YouTube poll. You know, I have an inquisitive temperament, and I'm just curious about something. You know, I ask a question every single day. We try to make the question simple. Yesterday, we asked about the demographics of those who are participating in the show, and it was like 90% black. Here I am thinking I'm speaking to a much more diverse audience, but it's just a bunch of Negroes. Xavier said I can use the N-word if I want to because most of the people that are listening are black. But when I use the N-word, and I do, I'm rarely talking about black people. The category of N-word fits so many other races. There's so many white N-words. There's a lot.
It's very flexible.
It is. The N-word is flexible, and so is the F-word.
Yes.
The fornication under consent of the king, you know, that F-word. That I've got many, I even have new uses for the F-word, but let me stop talking about it because I might end up saying it. So today our YouTube poll question is, did you attend a public school or a private school? I'm just curious. It's not an indictment or a referendum on either one. I'm just curious, the people that participate in this program, where did you learn how to do your school stuff? In a public school or in a private school? Well, look at this. So far, early results show the overwhelming majority of you did, in fact, go to public schools. I voted in this poll as well, and I went to nothing but public schools. The only time I ever went to a private school was for a track meet. I never attended any private schools, and I feel like I need to clear that up because I support parents in their decision to send their child to a school they deem better than their neighborhood school. In some cases, the best option is the neighborhood public school, but that's not in every case. For other parents, Milwaukee College Prep might be a viable option. For another set of parents, they may want to send their children to Whitefish Bay Dominican or Pius or St. Joan Antietam or Divine Savior and the Holy Angels or the St. Thomas Moors. That's entirely up to you. I support that because I know what undereducated children do when released out into the real world. They will become liabilities at some point. Now, we hope not all of them, but if we can reduce the liability that these undereducated children will be, the better it will be for all of us. College readiness and remediation costs. Students from underfunded K-12 school systems are significantly more likely to require remedial coursework, which will cost an additional $1,000 to $3,000 per student per year. So even when we push recent high school graduates into the trades, please be mindful of something. There are, and I don't know what the numbers are specifically, but if it's more than 0, then it's too much. There are some children who are promoted from one grade to the next with low levels of literacy. Maybe they're only at a 5th grade or a 6th grade level reading-wise, but they might be sophomores and juniors in high school. And you can get away with it in school because they're just going to push you along. And then that child becomes the next grade teacher's problem. So if a 5th grader is reading at a 3rd grade level, that 5th grader is going to go to 6th grade and they make it the 6th grade teacher's problem. If that child is still at a 3rd grade reading level and now they're entering middle school, well, it's that 7th grade teacher's problem. But then once you get out into the real world, you can't fake not being able to comprehend what you have read. And if we do, in fact, want to push some young black men into the trades, because the trades are AI-proof. Even some of the titans of the AI industry said, look, we need more electricians. They even said it out of their own mouths because electricians are needed, of course, to wire and build the AI data centers. And so they are going to be putting more money into the trades because they need more electricians to do the work of the future, and a lot of which is going to be electrical. But if you can't read the plans and the blueprints and you're playing around with electricity and with wires, you're going to get shocked. You're going to get electrocuted. Remember the old cartoons when somebody gets electrocuted and you can all of a sudden you can see their bones? It's like an X-ray. That's what's going to be happening to our children. And so, yes, we want them to have meaningful jobs and great careers and good retirements and all of that. But there is a cost to their remedial levels of reading and math. And speaking of math, 90% of most trades is math. My math is okay, but don't trust me to be a carpenter to build a house, because I would do a lot of rounding. Look at how I would round that to the nearest foot. Nah, we don't need that board to be 3 inches. We can make it 2 3/4 inches. Next thing you know, the house looks drunk. If I built a house, it would be so tilted. You know what I mean? Because my math is good, but it's not carpentry good. While I understand the need to get more people into the trades and the money that people make, every time I talk about it, somebody calls and, oh, sure, when I got into the trades and I had a great career. Yeah, 30, 40 years ago when you can study most of that stuff in school and you probably knew math. You can't do anything without knowing the math. And so I'm trying to conceptualize the amount of money it is costing us. It's going to cost young people. If you're coming out of high school with a remedial education, in the real world, you can't get away with it. Labor market discrimination, hiring, wages, and promotion, wage and employment gaps. Black workers earn 20% less on average than white workers, even when controlling for education. Impact channels, lower wages, reduce consumer spending. Hiring discrimination, higher unemployment volatility amongst African American workers. Occupational segregation means we have underutilized talent. A significant portion of the between $16 trillion and $51 trillion loss is tied to discriminatory hiring in America, wage suppression of black workers, and limited career mobility. The total racial wealth gap as it stands right now is $12 trillion that African Americans simply do not have because of built-in bias in the system. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
I travel all around the world, Dr. Ken, and when I tell you, based on my experiences, this is like the #1 country that cares. Like, everything is about money. Yep. Everything.
This is The Truth Unfiltered with Denise Thomas and Dr. Ken Harris.
I've told people in the past, you have to be careful of what you complain about and what you use as a tool, because other people will take it and use it in the wrong way.
Sundays starting at 7 on 620 WTMJ and Mondays at 6 on 101.7 The Truth.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
The legendary Broadway show is back. The Wiz. The Chicago Sun-Times raves. It's an eye-popping, high-intensity revival. The music, the voices, the legend returns. Entertainment Weekly says, run, don't ease on down to this spectacular revival. The Wiz. Playing the Marcus Center, March 24th through 29th. Tickets at marcuscenter.org.
Hungry for something fresh and delicious? Get your favorites from Cousin Subs delivered straight to your door. From our freshly baked bread and hand-sliced meats and cheeses to our famous sides, crispy golden fries, Wisconsin cheese curds, or creamy mac and cheese. Every meal made to order and ready to enjoy. Ordering is quick and easy online or through the Cousins app. Whether it's a solo lunch, family dinner, or a spread for the whole crew, let us bring it straight to you, fast and fresh. Cousin Subs. We believe in better.
Walk in for a suit, walk out with two. It's buy one, get one half off throughout March at Nick Avani's. Suits, blazers, hats, jeans, and more. Everything you need from a hands-on team that styles you from head to toe. Find a suit, add shoes for half the price. Land a perfect two-piece set? Now add a vest for 50% less. Prom, weddings, galas, whatever's on your calendar, now's the time to stop in to Nick Avani's. Second floor at Mayfair Mall across from AMC. Buy one, get one half off throughout March at Nick Avani's. Some exclusions may apply. See store for details.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017. Caller number 7 wins nothing. You can be caller number 7 all you want to. You're not going to get anything. Well, I take that back. You'll get me. You'll get some advice. How about that? Caller number 7 gets some unsolicited advice because I got plenty of that. Let's read some of this commentary over on the YouTube chatty chat. Linda says, peace and blessings, Professor and Truth Nation with extra N's. Hey, Sherwin, I'm on my way to vote with souls to the polls. Linda says, I'm voting early and want to see the blue wave in Milwaukee. Well, you go, Linda. Just don't vote for the wrong person. I'm voting for Chris Taylor. Y'all can do whatever you want to do. That's who I'm voting for because she's the best person for the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. B. Bruce says the Iran thing was never necessary. I could not agree more. Jasmine says, literally, I believe the USA needs to go somewhere and sit down for the foreseeable future. We too broke to be talking and starting stuff. I agree with that sentiment, Jasmine. Yeah, somebody said in the comments, I want to try and find it. You guys type pretty quickly and this thing scrolls fast. Somebody asked if the country can file for bankruptcy. No, not like you think, because okay, so if you guys have bonds, if you buy like U.S. Treasuries, which are bonds, that's buying U.S. debt. China owns the majority of our debt. We can't tell China that we're defaulting on our debt because China's going to come collect. But here's what we can do, and this is a very unpleasant thing. we can go attack another country and take their resources. So we're broke. I gave you guys the numbers in trillions, and I even broke it down to a household budget. Basically, to explain how much debt the United States is in, imagine a person with a $52,000 annual salary, but they owe $1.3 million in debt and in bills. And there's interest being charged on that $1.3 million. You're never going to be able to pay it off. So if you make $52,000 a year, currently, this is if we reduce the debt to something that is more like a household budget, you have a $1.3 million series of debts and liabilities, and you only make $52,000 a year. And of that $52,000, it costs you $73,000 just to get through 1 year. So every year you are racking up another $20,000+ in debt, and you owe $1.3 million, and the $1.3 million is earning and accruing interest every single day. So here's what we do. I'm just going to give you an example. I'm not saying the United States should do this, but when we are broke, we have to go and capture resources from another country. Why do you think Europe colonized so much of Africa? Africa is rich, not just in labor, but in titanium and zinc and bauxite and gold and diamonds. If your country is broke, have a big military and use your big military to go steal from other countries. Y'all ever heard of a country called Venezuela? We went into Venezuela and just stole the president and his wife. And I don't even know where they're at. Is anybody even checking on them? He is missing, and apparently he's had a court case, which none of it matters because it's going to be a kangaroo court anyway. But what did Trump say? We're going to take their oil. And he did. I think we got 140 million barrels of Venezuelan oil we sold it, and the money got put into a private account. This is the kind of stuff your country has to do when it's in this kind of debt. We got to go to another country, conquer it, take it over, and then assume their oil resources or assume the wealth of another country that we just defeated militarily. So there will be more of this coming. Let's see what else we got. Hey, Sherwin, did they ever find that $22 billion Donald Rumsfeld claimed they misplaced back during the 9/11 era? They said if you shook the couch cushions in the Pentagon, it would be millions upon billions of dollars in just sloppy accounting. Jasmine says, Sherwin, if we print more currency, does that diminish the value of the U.S. dollar? Absolutely. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Coming with straight truth.
Did you go along with this? Did you plot this out? Did you go into the store with the intentions of causing a negative situation? This is the part that people don't like once they get into court after they get caught. Now, should he be executed for killing somebody he didn't do? I don't think so. He's already serving life. He's going to die in prison. I think that's what's going to happen. At the same time, this is a message to the younger folks.
Catch the Tory Lowe Show every weekday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline. for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. And you think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
Listen to the home of the 5K Gruber Cash Giveaway. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Our telephone number doesn't change. 833-212-1017. If you're calling number 7, you don't win anything. At least not today. Not on my show, you don't. But I'll give you some advice. Let's talk to our caller number 7. That one guy, you're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. What's on your mind, sir? Are you looking for some advice because you're calling number 7?
Yeah, I was just excited to hear you, and then it's my chance to call you,
Oh, that's very nice.
I don't get to call you that often.
I mean, yeah, you do.
Sometimes I have time to call Dr. Ken, but it depends what time of the day it is. So, yeah. So what's my advice?
Don't ask if you can use the bathroom. You know how people, they'll go to somebody's house and they'll say, oh, can I use your bathroom? Don't be that person. Just ask where the bathroom is. Don't stop asking if you can use, because think about if the person says no. Then what are you going to do? So don't ask, because they might say no. Hi, where's your bathroom? Don't say, oh, can I use your bathroom? Thank you.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, I agree.
Don't argue with someone that you don't like or don't respect. Just refuse the argument altogether. Don't even get into it. Don't debate them. Don't argue with somebody. Don't do that, because it's just going to turn into something ugly. And I got one more for you. I'm giving all sorts of advice today. Don't sleep with someone that you wouldn't want to have breakfast with the next morning.
Hey, that's a good one.
All right.
Put a smile on my face.
Look at that.
Thank you.
That's what we do here. Put smiles on faces. All right. Good luck to you. Take all that advice. There you go. You too can be caller number 7 and win nothing but good advice. Also, drink more water. Make sure you're hydrated. It's good for your skin. It's good for your metabolism. Drink more water. When you meet a new person, always ask them how their day is going. Don't just, you introduce yourself and then, oh, what do you do for a living? No, ask them how their day was. Engage them in conversation when you meet somebody new, because then it makes you much more memorable. Oh, I'm getting all the all the dings today. So you too can receive unsolicited advice if you're calling number 7. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to win anything. I'm looking at the exceptional costs to the American economy for racial bias, bigotry, and prejudice, and it is in the trillions of dollars, whether it be individuals who are coming out of our public schools that we pay for that have to take remedial classes before they can get into their major or before they can start their career in the trades. That costs money. The health disparities that exist, especially in the African American community, the wage gaps that exist by race. On average, African Americans with the same level of education and experience make about 20% less. There's a whole host of categories that cost this country trillions and trillions of dollars based upon the structural and institutional ignorance that we have in this country. And also talked about earlier in the program the debt that we are in that we currently cannot find ourselves out of. But we are currently spending between $16 and $51 trillion over the last 2 decades on racial bias in this country. Education inequality is $1 trillion a year. Health disparities are $450 billion a year, plus labor market discrimination costs hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. This is money that we do not have. It is money we cannot invest. It is money we cannot allocate into remedying the nation's problems because we are so stuck on all of this racial bias. I was reading all this fiscal stuff, about money. We titled the show Money, $4. Every now and again, you hear about a situation at a business, a company, a corporation, sometimes very big companies and corporations, where they have to settle lawsuits because of proven and demonstrated racial discrimination on the job. And I have a feeling a whole bunch of you probably have been treated unfairly. And you've been treated unfairly at your job. And it could be just like a joke. Because sometimes coworkers will joke around and they think that they know you, and sometimes they'll tell a racist joke. That is immoral, that is illegal, and it violates the policies of your workplace, and you very well could have a lawsuit. But it's also a whole hell of a lot of trouble. It takes a whole lot of courage to sue the place that you are depending on for your salary. So I was doing a little looking and doing a little digging and just seeing, what companies have been sued? Because I also want us to make real good decisions. If there are companies that we are currently supporting, we're buying their products and their services, and they have a history of demonstrated racial bias. And again, I'm not telling you to boycott these companies, because I know that boycotts have diminished levels of success. There was a Target boycott that was going on. Apparently it ended with no measurable progress. I think some time ago there was another one of those days, like a blackout day, where you don't spend any money because, boy, oh boy, we're going to teach those corporations a lesson. Or I think it was African Americans on a particular, I shouldn't laugh, African Americans on a particular Friday were not supposed to spend any money because we wanted to show all these companies and these businesses and these corporations that we are not to be messed with. So they were going to feel the pain of us not spending our money at these corporations. I remember McDonald's was one of them. We were not going to spend any money that day. McDonald's and a whole list of other places. And so there was closed now. But there was a McDonald's on like 25th and Wisconsin. And I drive past this McDonald's every single day. And so I think this boycott was last summer. And I was curious on this day, because I talked about the boycott, a national blackout. We weren't going to spend any money because we were going to show corporate America the black dollar has power. And they were going to lose so much money in that 24-hour period where African Americans were keeping our wallets and our pockets books closed, that they were now going to fight on our behalf for racial justice because we weren't spending money for one day. I find the entire thing ridiculous. While the principle of it, I think, is smart, but here's the problem. The whole blackout movement of that particular Friday was started by a white dude in Chicago, which also made no sense. So even when we have what we thought was a black-led economic movement, a black-led boycott, it was a white dude in Chicago. The only thing that made it worse is if he was from Racine. That's the only thing that would have made that worse. So I drive past this McDonald's, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I know that no one is going to be at this McDonald's on blackout day. I just know it. And I remember I drive past this McDonald's every single morning coming into work. And I remember when I drove past that McDonald's, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The line of cars in the drive-thru wrapped around the building and was spilling out onto Wisconsin Avenue. And I had never seen that McDonald's that busy in all of the years I had been driving past it coming to work every single day. When I remarked on what I thought was an unsuccessful boycott, I wondered how companies pivot and how they deal with it. Let's say African Americans are mad at Target. I guess we were mad at Target for a while because they didn't implement DEI programs or something that Target did that made us mad. I didn't know that many of us even shopped at Target. So I found that to be an interesting choice for a company or a corporation to boycott. But, whatever. It is what it is. Real easy for me to boycott Target because I don't shop there in the first place. Because every now and again, a company's got to be mindful. If they have an incident that takes place, at this business, and that incident is a racial one. Everybody has cameras nowadays, and if somebody records maybe a disgruntled employee using the N-word, saying terrible things to a customer, or someone who's getting really poor service because they are African American, that can cause a pretty significant backlash that companies have to deal with. And African Americans are very quick to jump on businesses and corporations that are exhibiting right in our faces racial bias, because whenever we have that kind of evidence of it, we exacerbate it and we tell everybody about it and we post about it, because we always need examples of racism, because there are people that still think it does not exist. Like, oh, we elected Barack Obama twice. There's no more racism anymore. So when there is an incident of somebody using the N-word or somebody being intentionally racially biased against a black person, we use that as yet another example of proof. And I hate that we have to explain ourselves to people and have to explain that racism still exists, but we live in a country that is so wrought with ignorance, it costs us $16 trillion a year because of our ignorance and our racial bias. So whenever we have the opportunity to point to an example, we do it. And sometimes we'll boycott the company. We want that person fired. We want restitution paid to the victim. And we as black people are not going to stand for this company and their employees' poor treatment of African Americans. And so I wonder, how do companies respond? Because in the post-George Floyd era, which is what we are in, people are very sensitive to the social stances of some of the companies that we spend our money with. Let's say there's an African American boycott of Amazon. Good luck. That would be a tough one, because I scroll on Amazon when I got nothing to do, and I think I still got a gift card balance of like $80 or $90, which is almost better than cash, because anything I could ever want is on Amazon. So if we were, and I'm not saying there is a boycott on Amazon, but what would Amazon do if African Americans got very mad? We're not going to support Amazon anymore because somebody there said the N-word or whatever. You know what Amazon would do? Invest in marketing in another group. They'd invest more with Latinos. They'd invest more with women. They'd invest more in Europe. So whenever they lose a group, and it's possible that we can get very angry at Amazon. I really hope it doesn't happen. Jeff Bezos, please keep your people in check, because I don't want to find out that Amazon is a racist company, because, oh, my God, what would I do? Like, I get my groceries off of the Amazon. Hi, Sherwin. They're so welcoming when I open them up. Hi. You want to continue where you left off? Look at all the things you were just browsing. It showed me all the stuff I looked at. It's just genius. But they would just advertise to another group, an underutilized group. If African Americans or Latinos or Hispanics, maybe Latinos and Hispanics want Amazon to be much more involved and engaged in these horrible immigration policies, and Latinos and Mexicans and Hispanics of all different ethnicities decided they wanted to boycott Amazon, then Amazon would just advertise more products to black people to make up for the Latinos that they would lose. I got a list here that I'm going to share with you of major corporations in America, all of which you are familiar with, that have in fact been found liable for racial discrimination. And the dollar amounts that it's insane, the amount of money that companies have to pay out in these racial discrimination lawsuits. So I'm going to take a break, come back, share this information with you. Now, it doesn't give me the specific number in the article, but it said the overwhelming majority of not just Fortune 500 companies, but Fortune 1,000 companies. So the largest 1,000 companies in America have had racial discrimination lawsuits that have resulted in settlements in the tens, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars. The overwhelming majority of the largest companies in America have had to settle. And this is African Americans. This is not women. This is not what gays, because they probably have their lawsuits too, just with black people. It's insane. But they are willing to pay this money in these discrimination lawsuits. We are willing to lose trillions of dollars every single year as an American economy. We're willing to do that instead of remedying the problem, which is just extinguishing racial ignorance. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, it's your boy Tory Lowe, and I need to let you know the award-winning Tory Lowe Show can now be streamed live on YouTube. How? Every day from 1 to 4. Truth Nation, I am now bringing all the smoke on YouTube every single weekday. Hey, how? I need you to go to YouTube right now and subscribe to 101.7 The Truth and check out the award-winning Tory Lowe Show live every afternoon. Milwaukee Black Talk is now streaming live on YouTube. Now that's powerful.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. It's not just a slogan, but the way of life at Gruber Law Offices. If you've been injured, call our team today. We've represented tens of thousands of injured Wisconsinites for more than 30 years. Trust Wisconsin's own Gruber Law Offices, proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
From office lunches to family celebrations, Cousin Subs has the crowd-pleasing catering you need. Choose from customizable party boxes, individual box lunches, fresh-baked cookies, and our classic party chips. Everything you need to satisfy any size group, big or small. Ordering is easy online or on the Cousins app, so you can focus on the fun, not the food. Cousin Subs, we believe in better.
As the White House threatens to take over state elections, restrict abortion nationwide, and take away our health care, the Wisconsin Supreme Court is the last line of defense for our rights. That's why the Supreme Court election on April 7th is so critical. The ACLU does not endorse or oppose candidates, but wants you to make an informed decision. When it comes to abortion rights, Maria Lazar supported overturning Roe v. Wade and is endorsed by groups that want to ban abortion. Chris Taylor voted against abortion bans and defended abortion rights while working with Planned Parenthood. And on the issue of voting rights in Wisconsin, Maria Lazar defended efforts to rig elections for one political party through extreme gerrymandering of congressional and legislative districts. Chris Taylor opposes rigging the system with extreme partisan gerrymandering. On April 7th, stand up for our rights. Paid for by American Civil Liberties Union, Incorporated.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
There's a bunch of high-profile businesses, companies, and corporations. Some of these shock me. You know, I don't know why anything shocks me when it comes to racial bias. Let's see what we got. Where do I even begin? Gregory's Coffee. I don't know who that is, but they're on the list. Systemic discrimination against black employees and women. Pay disparities, harassment, and retaliation. Had to settle for $200,000, and additional lawsuits are ongoing with Gregory's Coffee. Horizon Media, lawsuit by black executives alleging exclusion, retaliation, and discriminatory culture. Ongoing litigation. Allegations include termination under pretext and exclusion from leadership decisions. Oh, here's one that we know. State Farm Insurance. Oh, they're not one of our sponsors, are they? No, we're American Family Insurance. Phew. Ongoing lawsuit alleging racial discrimination and retaliation against black executives. The litigation started last year in 2025. Damages are pending. Reputational and legal exposures are potential consequence for State Farm. So this has not yet been settled. Oh, look at this one here. You're going to love this one, y'all. Walmart. Discriminatory recruiting practices limiting applicant pools. Part of the Department of Justice enforcement action, civil penalties totaling $1,100,000 across multiple Walmarts. And here's what they have to do. So they got to pay out the $1.1 milli, and they have to have, get this, mandatory anti-discrimination training. How do you have a workplace training? I've always been fascinated by this. And it's more of a rhetorical question. I'm not even really asking an actual question. But how do you have a workplace training that can stop somebody from hating somebody else? You can't. Because if it's learned and if it's your experience, if you grew up in an environment where black people were talked about negatively, looked at negatively, and only the stereotypes of African Americans is your perception of us, then how is a 45-minute Zoom call going to erase all of that from your mental repertoire? It won't. What happens is the company can say, well, we did a diversity training, so we're not liable. It's more of a legal protection because the company can say, look, we have trained our employees against racial bias and discrimination. We are not responsible for the disparate treatment of African Americans. It doesn't change anybody's mind. I'm trying to think of what it must have been when I worked for, was it NPS? You guys know that I used to manage after-school programs? Yeah, there used to be, I think they still have them called community learning centers where they open up the school after school for homework help and tutoring and recreational activities. And at the time, it was funded by a federal grant authorized through the Department of Justice because the Department of Justice figured out that if kids, especially in urban neighborhoods, have a school to go to where they can be in the confines of the school, whether it be using a computer or getting help with their homework or playing basketball, that those children are less likely to be both victims and perpetrators of crime. So the Department of Justice used to invest in community learning centers, and I used to manage. This is back when I was in my 20s. I used to manage one. You know what the biggest thing? I was at South Division High School. Here's the biggest problem that we had. It wasn't kids fighting. It wasn't kids, stealing stuff from the school. It was kids having sex in the hallway because the school was closed. The South Division is gigantic. It was closed as far the classrooms were vacant, and kids would just be in the stairwells humping. You can't. A bunch of little dirty perverts.
So you just walk by and someone just be doing it?
Well, they had cameras, and we'd see a couple of students walk down into the stairwell, and the kids would know where the cameras are so they could keep some of it off camera, and then we would alert the safety. Yeah. And so I've always had an issue with, they combine schools now, and some schools, I think Brown Deer did it, where you have third grade, grades 3 through 12. You guys can't do that. You can't have grown adults, because some seniors are 19 with full beards. You can't have a school, and I get you have to downsize and right-size schools, but it's never a good idea to have adult seniors in the same school as middle school kids. Because kids hump, you know what I mean? And you're not supposed to do that until you get married, okay? That's my unsolicited advice for the day. So anybody that calls, and if you're caller number 7, you're not going to win anything. You're just going to get some advice from me. Don't everybody be a virgin until you find the one. I don't know why you looking at me like that, Xavier. That is the best advice I could give. No, keep it in your pants until you're married, and then on your wedding night, light some candles. Get some red wine. Play a little Teddy Pendergrass music softly in the background. That's when you do it, and that's the only time you should be doing it. And there shouldn't be any additional copulations and fornications unless you are married, Okay?
Shaboing, boing, boing.
I'm setting that boundary because too many of y'all have gone hump crazy. And that's where the kids is learning from. They're watching their parents humping. You guys ever hear your parents doing it? It's traumatizing. My bedroom as a kid was right across the hallway from my parents. That's not cool. There's nothing cool about that. You ever wonder why I am the way I am? No, I'm just...
You seem well balanced to me.
No, I'm not. I come here every single day and talk to 91% black people. I got to be a little off to do that every single day, don't I? I got to think of stuff to talk about to black folks. Yeah, I'm traumatized. All right, let me get back to... Everybody relax. Just don't hump anymore. Take that sound advice and you'll be fine. Microsoft, discriminatory hiring and documentation practices affecting non-white citizens, especially African-American refugees. It's not funny. It's terrible. I got so many other companies on here that you guys are going to be mad at. The federal settlement, the dollar amount has not been disclosed. They just settled it last month. Outcome, a federal settlement, dollar amount undisclosed, and policy changes and compliance monitoring. Oh, this one I think I remember. The Gap. You guys shop at the Gap? Nobody really shop. Where is the Gap even at? Didn't they close all the Gaps? There used to be a Gap and then a Baby Gap. I don't know where the Gaps are anymore. They used to have a Gap at the Mayfair. I don't think they have a Gap at the Mayfair anymore. I don't even know where a Gap is. Discriminatory employment verification practices impacting non-white workers, including African Americans and black immigrants and refugees from Africa. Civil penalties and back pay. Nationwide employee training for everyone employed by the Gap. And they are being federally monitored for the next 3 years. You guys have credit cards? I got credit cards. MasterCard pay discrimination affecting black employees. They settled last year. Holy smokes, MasterCard. $26 million is the settlement. And they have independent audits of their compensation practices of their African American employees. And external oversight has been given to all of their promotional systems. So now MasterCard isn't even allowed to promote people that work for MasterCard. They contracted that out to a third party. Oh, no, not this company. Well, maybe it's not that big of a deal for us here at Good Karma Brands because we don't subscribe to Nielsen. You guys know Nielsen. Nielsen is the ratings company. Do you guys ever remember getting those books in the mail? You get a Nielsen's rating book and they ask you everything that you watch. You got to write down all the things that you watch. I've gotten those a couple of times. And they send you money. You guys remember that? Nielsen would send you like $2, $2 crisp dollars for you to fill out the survey. And what I would do is I would just take the money and never fill out the survey. But that's what you get for sending me the money. The incident was race-based hiring discrimination affecting black applicants. The outcome, $570,000 in back pay to the African-American affected employees. Job offers extended to, so they hired more black people as a part of the settlement, and they have mandatory compliance reforms. Now, this is not our cable provider, at least not in southeastern Wisconsin, but Comcast, multiple lawsuits alleging racial harassment and discriminatory treatment of black employees. That litigation started in the 2000s. There were additional incidents through the 2010s. The settlement agreements were kept confidential, and they had to implement HR and compliance changes and training. This one doesn't shock me so much. The official name of the company is, I'm going to try and do this in my best German accent, Bayerische Motorwerken, BMW. If you drive a BMW, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot of you blacks do, you blacks love you some foreign cars. Hiring policies using criminal background checks disproportionately excluded African-American workers. BMW had to pay $1,600,000 and revise their hiring practices. They said it impacted 70 of 88 rejected applicants were black. And apparently they hired them and gave them $1.6 million. Oh, look at this company right here. Oh, this is bad. Oh, I use this company 30 times a day. I almost regret sharing this with you guys because we can't change your consumer behavior overnight. Some of the companies and businesses that we utilize are habit. Google. Steering black employees into lower level roles, demonstrated unequal pay, and blocked professional advancement. The outcome. Google, I'm so disappointed. Here's what's crazy. I use Google to find the information about Google discriminating against black people. They settled with their black employees for $50 million in 2025. They had internal policy reviews and a multitude, it says, of diversity reforms. That's some heavy discrimination if you're settling for $50 million. But I'm just giving examples of how much money racism and discrimination costs. And then I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to give you a company that you're all familiar with. More familiar than Google, because this company has been around longer than Google. Systemic racial discrimination against black employees. It was the largest class action lawsuit in American history, the largest of its kind, that this particular company, that you guys are still buying this company stuff as we speak. I guarantee it. They had the largest class action lawsuit against them in the history of the United States, and I'll reveal that company on the other side. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, where we are giving you actual dollar amounts of what racism, bigotry, and prejudice cost the United States every single year. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The legendary Broadway show is back. The Wiz. The Chicago Sun-Times raves. It's an eye-popping, high-intensity revival. The music, the voices, the legend returns. Entertainment Weekly says, run, don't ease on down to this spectacular revival. The Wiz. Playing the Marcus Center, March 24th through 29th. Tickets at marcuscenter.org.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
$70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017. Where caller number 7 wins nothing. But I'll give you some advice if you need it. Going through a list of well-known companies and corporations that have been caught exhibiting demonstrated acts of racism and bias against African American employees and what it has cost some of these companies. Even though the dollar amounts are in the tens of millions in some cases, like with Google, it's a drop in the well for those companies. And then they have to do things like mandate discrimination training and anti-bias training. That stuff doesn't work. This is 2026. So this must have been probably 4 years ago. When did we move in here? Xavier, when you got hired here, were we here in the Third Street Market Hall, or were we over at the other Capitol Drive?
I've only been here for a year.
Oh, you have? Okay. So there is a test that was created by Harvard University, and it'll ask you a question, then it'll show you a picture. And you have to respond very, very quickly. It's a racial bias test, and a few years ago it was all the rage because it determined people's implicit bias, not explicit bias, but implicit bias, and it gave you a score. And it just shows how it's ubiquitous and it's built into so many different systems in American society. And I took the test. I don't even know why I did it. I took the test live on the air, and it showed that even I have some implicit bias toward black people. But I'm not entirely shocked by that. So if I, as an African American, you all know I love black people. I love black people so much. I love everything about us. Even the things that I don't like about us, I still love because it makes us us. And we're one big old crazy, mostly dysfunctional family in a country in which we as a culture are still orphaned. But I love everything that makes us so unique and different. The unfortunate part about that is what makes us as black people so beautiful and incredible and unique and different and just out-of-the-box thinkers is also hated by many other people. And that hate sometimes does real damage and real harm, and I think ultimately it diminishes our image of ourselves, even if it's slight. Major corporations and documented anti-black discrimination cases, the largest systemic racial discrimination lawsuit in American history was... Any guesses? All you're going to do is Google it. Coca-Cola, $192 million. It is the largest settlement of any kind. They had to overhaul HR practices. They had to have an independent task force to monitor diversity and pay equity. This Coca-Cola discrimination case, they call this the benchmark case for corporate and racial discrimination cases, the mother of all cases, Coca-Cola. But why are we shocked? They used to put cocaine in the soda. Let's talk to... Hi, Teresa. How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind, Teresa?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was driving and I heard that you were looking for caller number 7. So I thought this was for the giveaway. So I apologize.
Oh, no, you're not going to win anything. But since I have you, would you like some free advice?
Sure.
Okay. Get dating advice, Teresa, from someone that you actually would want to date.
I don't need that.
You married or something?
Nope, not looking.
Everybody's looking, Teresa.
No.
You mean to tell me if the right man comes along, he's handsome and well-built, he's got a great smile and a sense of humor, and he's tall, you know you like him tall, and he's got a nice house and a nice car and good money, lives in a great neighborhood, and he ain't got no kids, you going to tell me you going to let that man pass?
No, I said I'm not looking. If he's looking for me, that's different. I'm not looking for him.
See? Okay. You're not looking, but if he's looking for you, okay, so if that man came along, you'd give him a chance, wouldn't you?
Yes, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Okay. All right, Teresa. Well, good luck. I hope he finds you.
You have a blessed day.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, then, Teresa. Okay, then. Talking about I'm not looking. Every woman is looking. I ain't looking, but if he come to find me. Oh, Teresa, stop it. It's ridiculous. I'm embarrassed at some of these other companies that are on here. Damn it, Tesla. Damn it.
Are you surprised?
Yeah. Hold on, though. But wait. But hold on. My car doesn't feel racist. It drives like it loves me. So
I've heard some of them conversations your AI has had with you.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Did I post them?
Yeah, I believe you posted it or you just showed it to us. Quite nasty.
Oh, it was. Oh, yeah. So there's different AI personalities you can select in the vehicle, and one of them is like a sex freak. I just tried it just to see what it was like. It was like this woman's like, pull over now, and pull your pants down for me. And like she was yelling at me. I'm thinking to myself, do I really need to pull over? Is this car gonna actually turn on me and kill me? Tesla.
That's in your car?
I posted one of the videos because I couldn't personally believe that the vehicle it was even possible. Like I haven't had the explicit sexual conversation that the vehicle had with me. I had never had a conversation that explicit with a real human. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of freak programmed her? And I'm not going to go into that. Tesla, severe racial harassment of black employee. It says employee, one person. Use of racial slurs, hostile work environment. The outcome, well, I'll tell you what. The jury initially awarded $137 million to one person, but a judge reduced it on appeal to $15 million. Now listen, let me be clear when I say this. Racial harassment and discrimination and using racial slurs is not acceptable. It is not. It's mean. It's condescending. It's just very hurtful. I think it's even immoral to use racial slurs. However, if you want to call me the N-word and then pay me $15 million, listen, I will be hurt. I'll be like, ouch. That was not nice. Now run me my $15 million. I mean, it isn't fair to single somebody out based on their race. It isn't, because I'm sure whoever this person is, they probably were a very hard worker. They're probably very nice. They came to work every single day, and they probably weren't racially biased, but they were the victim of racial harassment at Tesla. And it's not a class of people. It's just one person, okay? And now, again, I think it's wrong. It is unfair. It's disrespectful. It's despicable. It's mean. It's nasty. It's immature. It is all of those things to call somebody a racial slur. However, for $15 million, I could be made to rethink a couple. Tell you what. Caller number 7, if you call me an N-word, give me $15 million. No, that's probably not a good idea because they'd say it and wouldn't give me anything. The case later settled confidentially after the appeal for it's not confidential. They said it's $15 million. multiple ongoing discrimination lawsuits, because once people at Tesla found out that one person got $15 million, they're like, yeah, I've been discriminated against too. Increased scrutiny from regulators and repeated racial harassment inside the factory were all key issues. What else we got here? Kaiser Permanente, that's a health insurance company, I think. Glass ceiling racial discrimination against black employees, $11.5 million settlement in 2021. Compensation to 2,000 black employees, mandatory pay equity audits over multiple years, systematic under-promotion and underpayment of black employees at Kaiser Permanente. Then there's a company called the Society for Human Resource Management. Workplace racial discrimination and retaliation against a single black employee. $11.5 million jury verdict. These verdicts are healthy. See how expensive racism is, white people? $1.5 million one person received from the Society of Human Resource Management. They received $1.5 million in compensation and another $10 million in punitive damages. The consequences, major reputational damage, especially given their HR oversight role. And it also says there is a pending appeal. The key issue with the Society for Human Resource Management, a company I've never heard of before, retaliation after reporting discrimination internally. Oh, look at this company right here. Oh, this is embarrassing. Oh, this is worse than Tesla. McDonald's. Alleged racial discrimination against black-owned media companies in advertising spend. I'm not shocked by this. McDonald's probably feels like it doesn't have to advertise and spend money in black media because black people are going to go to McDonald's. But apparently they got caught intentionally not spending money or disproportionately less amount of money with black-owned media versus white and other ethnic media. Confidential settlement in 2025. Holy smokes, a $10 billion lawsuit. The reason why this McDonald's settlement is not listed amongst the largest, because Coca-Cola currently is the largest at $192 million, because this one is still ongoing. McDonald's has committed to increase ad spending with black-owned media, an agreement to purchase ads at market value in black-owned media. Key allegations were systemic exclusion of black-owned media from core advertising budgets, which numbers in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and the settlement was for $10 billion. Oh, McDonald's. But a filet of fish, it hits. No, it does. Now, you don't eat them every day. It's not healthy to eat a filet of fish every day, but when you do, The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. Need a way to hype up your day?
Hello, is this Shirley?
This is she.
Shirley, you are our Gruber 5K giveaway winner this quarter. Congratulations.
What would you do with $5,000?
Going to look at buying me a pickup truck. That will be some of my down payment.
Stay tuned into 1017 The Truth for your chance to be entered into the Gruber Law Office's 5K giveaway. For contest rules, visit 1017thetruth.com.
I love you guys.
I got money now.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axhousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Redlining happened here. Some neighborhoods are still left behind. When decisions are made about our blocks, our homes, and our families, we deserve to be heard. The Milwaukee County Office of Equity and Empower invites you to help us tell the story of wealth by taking a short survey online. What do you need to build wealth for your family, business, or neighborhood? Take the survey and be entered in to win concert tickets, cash prizes, and more. Take the survey now through the end of March at mkestoryofwealth.com. That's mkestoryofwealth.com.
Hi, I'm Greg Fritsch, president of the Center for Veterans Issues, inviting you to get involved in supporting the CVI mission. The Center for Veterans Issues is proud to serve veterans across Wisconsin. Each year, we help more than 1,200 veterans stay housed, find meaningful employment, and connect with the support they've earned. From housing assistance and job training to case management and suicide prevention outreach, our team is here to help veterans build stable, independent lives. If you're a veteran in need of support, visit cvivet.org. Donations can also be accepted at cvivet.org/donate.
Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Lady B says, "Hi, Sherwin. My Nissan Altima transmission died." So much I can say about a black woman that drives a Nissan Altima, but I won't do that. I'm sure she's a very nice lady. "I don't know anything about cars. I want a truck. Can you recommend anything for an old millennial? Please help." Lady B, how many times did you post this? At least 5 times? Okay, Lady B, we'd like to help you. Well, what is your price range? We have to begin there because there is an unlimited supply of vehicles on the used market. Is there a dollar amount that you have in mind? That's the first question, Lady B. Are you going to purchase a vehicle cash, or are you looking at financing? If you are looking at financing, what are you wanting that monthly payment to be? Another thing, Lady B, is do you tend to keep your vehicles for a long period of time, or are you one of those people that likes a newer vehicle or a different vehicle every couple of years? So we have to start with that basic information. What are you looking at spending? Are you going to buy the vehicle cash? Are you going to finance? If you're going to finance, what do you want that monthly payment to be? When you say truck, I'm assuming probably a small or mid-sized SUV. I would suggest something foreign, maybe a Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4. You have an unlimited amount of different styles and options, and they are very reliable. If you are going to get an automobile, you want reliability to be top of the list because there is nothing worse than being saddled with car repairs with an unreliable vehicle. So if you give me those details, I can help you out. But here's what I would say, though, Lady B. Download both of them, actually. The Cars.com app and an app called Carvana. So with those apps, you have a lot of optionality. You can put in different years, makes, models. You even can search vehicles by type. So you can look at SUVs, mid-size SUVs, and you can sort them all by type of vehicle. You also can say, show me SUVs that are less than $10,000 that have less than 40,000 miles. So they give you a lot of flexibility in finding a vehicle. I wouldn't go to a dealership. I just wouldn't, because they're probably going to be overpriced. They're going to hassle you and haggle you. Where with Carvana and Cars.com, the market is the entire nation. And it's actually reasonable. With Carvana, they will sometimes ship the vehicles, have them delivered for free. So that's what I would suggest. Good luck, Lady B. I also would say don't buy another Altima. Our text message line is the same as the call-in line. It's 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. Oh, look, Dion texted in. Dion said, I work at MPS, and I never knew what CLC stood for. Dion, I am not shocked by that one bit. I'm not shocked that you don't know what a community learning center is. Millicent says, here's some sound advice. How about we just close MPS and you teach your own damn kids? Didn't we figure out that during the pandemic, when a lot of parents had to be much more involved and engaged with their kids' education because, schools were shut down during the pandemic, and this is when we come to find out that parents couldn't even teach their children, even help their kids with their 5th grade math homework. I see your point, Millicent. There's a lot of complaints. There is about the district, but you got to keep in mind, you've got hundreds of thousands of people who are funding that district that do not have children in that district. And it's an investment for us. We understand that. We know that our property taxes go to fund the school, but what kind of return are we getting on that investment? Like, my escrow is short because my property taxes went up more than my mortgage company had budgeted for, and I knew they were going to go up. I didn't know they were going to go up that much, but okay, fine. But what are we getting? Are we creating a solid foundational workforce in the city of Milwaukee for what we are all collectively paying into the district? The district has a $1 billion budget. They just got $252 million more dollars a couple of years ago in a referendum, and now the superintendent has got to cut 230, 40, 50, 260 jobs because the district is insolvent by $46 million. And look, I get it. Educating somebody is very expensive. The cost of everything has gone up, including educating a child. But if we are not getting a return on that investment, then I think it does require some legitimate scrutiny, don't you think? Don says, today a great day to be buying stocks. They are running the same play they did with COVID. It's terrible, but it's required. You guys are just giving all sorts of just random thoughts. All right, guys. What have we learned so far? Coca-Cola, Google, and Tesla are discriminatory, and they pay black people a whole bunch of money when discrimination lawsuits come up. Oh, look, it's almost that time, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, the top of hour 3, the Milwaukee Experience. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
In 1987, the Bucks took on the world and changed basketball forever.
At stake, basketball supremacy in the United States.
Bucks versus the World, narrated by Charlie Behrens, is the new season of Behind the Bucks podcast, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. It's the untold story of the 1987 McDonald's Open, when the Bucks became the first NBA team to face the Soviet Union. Listen now on Bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
Truth Nation, Gruber Law Offices, and The Truth have raised the stakes for this year. The One Call, That's All Gruber Cash giveaway is now a $5K giveaway. Yes, you heard it right. $5,000 giveaway. Every weekday on 1017 The Truth, you will have the chance to be entered to win the $5K giveaway. Listen to The Truth for the One Call, That's All cue to call for your chance to win $5,000. Gruber Law Offices, One Call, That's All. Visit 1017thetruth.com for official contest rules.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. And you think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a bright, focused foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
Get the truth and nothing but the truth with Sherwin Hughes every weekday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 1017 FM, 1510 a.m. WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. And this is when we, every Friday at 11 o'clock, the Milwaukee experience, where we talk about some of the wonderful things taking place in our city and some of the action and the attractions that exist. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you are ready for this one because we've been talking about it for weeks on end, and it is tonight, Finalysis Live, one of the biggest nights in Wisconsin sports, and we don't want anybody to miss out. In fact, here's what we're doing for you. Even though caller number 7 wins nothing, if you buy one ticket to Finalysis Live, which is tonight at the Riverside Theater, ESPN Wisconsin is going to buy the other ticket for you. Tonight is going to be a night that's going to have everybody talking. That's right, March 27th, Finalysis Live is a completely unpredictable show with Thanasis Antetokounmpo and a surprise guest. And you, oh hell, we know who the surprise guest is. Whoa! It's going to be Ric Flair. Hey, were you there when Stephen A. Smith joined Thanasis Live? Or when Bobby Portis brought down the house? Where were you sitting when Giannis walked out on the stage? Thanalysis Live is can't miss. Go to TALiveshow.com. That's where you get your tickets, okay? You're going to see the logo pop up when you go to TALiveshow.com. And then when you go to your checkout, here's what you're going to enter. ESPN WI BOGO. So ESPN WI BOGO for buy one, get one. That's when you check out. Enter ESPN WI BOGO. The stars will be out tonight, and so should you. Buy one ticket, and ESPN Wisconsin is going to get you your second ticket for free. Maybe Teresa will find somebody to go with her to Thanalysis Live. I know Kathy called in earlier in the week. She's looking forward to going. Here's something that's underutilized and underrepresented in Milwaukee, especially when we talk about all of the things that we have to do. Milwaukee has got a list of theaters and productions that rival that of Broadway. We, of course, have the Broadway Theater Center on North Broadway. We have the Milwaukee Repertory Theater. We have the Marcus Performing Arts Center, the Riverside Theater, the Milwaukee or Miller High Life Theater, where you can go and see musical acts, art and entertainment, and culture on full display. We punch above our weight class in a bunch of different areas, but theater is certainly one of them. And I am always ready to go see an incredible production. So can I just tell y'all, if you have not seen The Wiz, it is currently here in Milwaukee, an off-Broadway production of the classic movie that starred Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and Nipsey Russell. And that movie has got a special place in my heart. First of all, I own the movie, the digital version of it, but it was the first movie that I saw with my parents as a little kid. So on Tuesday night, myself, my spouse, Homer Blow, and his spouse all went to go see this incredible production of The Wiz. And I'll tell you what, I have been to more theater production shows than I can count over the years. This by far was the most electrifying. It was the most dynamic. The singing, the dancing, the choreography. It's a retelling of that Wizard of Oz story, but it's told in what we call Afrofuturism. In fact, we have a little bit of a video clip that we would like to share with you from some of the actors and performers in The Wiz, which is going on right now at New Line Hall in the Marcus Center. Let's roll that video so folks can get a taste.
That tornado is closing in! Come on, Darby!
A brand new day is here, 50 years since originally opening at the Majestic Theater. The Wiz is coming soon to a city near you. We got to know the stars.
Well, I've been chomping at the bit to get back in the room. I love what I do, and I love the show so much, and I needed it. It was great to have people come in and audition after they had seen the Broadway show and been like, oh, I get it, right? I get that you want like younger characters or versions of this, and I get where you're going with the show. So it was really so gratifying to meet all of these beautiful people who bring their own unique vision and spin on these characters, and to allow that to evolve the piece. And of course, I'm a director, so I had like notes that I wanted to change from Broadway, and I was like, great, let's cut this, let's add this. So it was like, for me, every version I do feels like it's going to be like the next, so this is 3.0. I'm very excited about 3.0, and I feel like it's our best work yet.
He's the wizard.
The Wiz happened on Broadway in a time where African American Broadway shows were not selling, were not a thing. So The Wiz and Dreamgirls were actually what changed the trajectory of Black Broadway pieces. And so the fact that it stands the test of time and it's such a needed piece. And Shelley talks about that there's joy here. There's joy, there's celebration, all of the Blackness, all of the things. And so I think it's necessary because we can't forget where we came from.
I'm alive in my own way.
I can't wait for them to see this incredible ensemble open up the gates to Emerald City. It is to see that much talent, young, inspiring talent on stage all together is, for me, it just lifts me. So I can't wait for the audiences to see that.
It gives us permission, it gives us permission to completely be ourselves and bring all of the nuances of our culture to the table, and we can share that with the world and it be something that can lift us up and bring us together.
It's very honoring to put yourself into this work. This story of The Wiz is, I call it's one of the American stories. I think all of us are always trying to find a sense of what is home, what is grounded, where can I go back to feel comfortable and feel safe, and just to be able to tell this story between four characters that anyone can relate to, is really, really exciting.
This show has a habit of having, when you meet people at the stage door, where they have to tell you their history with the show. I don't know any other show where someone will say, my grandmother brought me, my aunt brought me, and now I'm bringing my niece and nephew. They have to tell, I've never been a part of a show that was like that. So the joy and watching everyone let you know when they first saw it, how often they see it, did they see the stage version or the movie version? That to me is special. It says something about art.
He's on down the road. Don't you carry nothing that might be alone.
My niece, who just turned 7, this is the first time she's ever learning about the show, this story, and now she loves it so much. She feels so connected to it, and the fact that I can make other young girls and young boys, anyone, feel so empowered and overjoyed with such an amazing story with fantastic music about bravery, about hope, true friendships, means so much to me because I sure needed that back when I was younger. And now that I have such a deep-rooted connection to this story, it means the whole entire world to me.
He's on down, he's on down, he's on down. Put up in front of the other gate. He's on down, he's on down.
Upcoming performances of The Wiz tonight at 7:30 at Uline Hall at the Market Center, 929 North Water Street. Saturday, 2 showings on Saturday, 2 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. And the last day, you guys have got to see this production. It is an exhibition unlike anything you've ever seen. If you're familiar with that original story of The Wizard of Oz, this Afro-futuristic version will absolutely dazzle. I'm actually contemplating going and seeing it again. And if I go, it'll be on Sunday at either 1 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. The Wiz returns home to stages across America in an all-new tour direct from Broadway. The Baltimore Sun raves, powerhouse performances, stunning choreography, and visionary sets. The Chicago Sun-Times proclaims The Wiz is an eye-popping and high-intensity revival. This groundbreaking twist on The Wizard of Oz changed the face of Broadway from its iconic score, packed with soul, gospel, rock, 70s funk, to its stirring tale of Dorothy's journey to find her place in a contemporary world, with direction by Shelley Williams from The Notebook and revival of Disney's Aladdin, choreography by Jaquel Knight from Beyonce's Single Ladies and Black is King, and additional material by Tony-nominated and Emmy-nominated writer and TV host Amber Ruffin. It is a modern jazz pop ensemble that brings a whole new groove to easing on down the road. This production of The Wiz at the Market Center is a substantial part of this weekend's Milwaukee experience. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
At Junior Achievement, students learn how innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship can turn a simple idea into something that changes an industry. With support from Cost Corporation, students are discovering how engineering, product design, and smart marketing bring great ideas to life. From pioneering studio headphones to building a brand recognized around the world, Cost shows students how technology and creativity shape the way we experience music. Learn more at ja.org.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 101.7 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axhousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
You spend more than 2,500 hours a year on your mattress, so is your mattress working for you? It's time to upgrade your sleep game during Steinhoffel's Mattress Madness. Their sleep experts will match you with the perfect mattress so you can wake up rested, refreshed, and ready to take on the day. Shop all the top brands at unbeatable prices, plus enjoy free delivery and a 120-night sleep guarantee so you can rest easy knowing you made the right choice. Shop Mattress Madness in-store at steinhoffels.com today.
Hi, I'm Eric Zauner, Marine Corps veteran and board member for the Center for Veterans Issues, calling on the community to tee it up for a great cause. On Monday, June 15th, CVI is hosting its 5th annual golf outing at the River Club in Mequon. This year's event is supporting CVI's Permanent Supportive Housing Program, dedicated to assisting chronically homeless or disabled veterans and their families. Grab your clubs and support our veterans today. Register to golf, sponsor, or donate at cvivet.org/events.
Hey, Truth Nation, it's your girl DT. You want to mark your calendar Saturday, March 28th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Cream City and Milwaukee chapters of the Links Incorporated present the Black Family Wellness Expo at Evolve Church. Free health screenings, mental health resources, nutrition and wellness education, family-friendly activities, trusted community providers, no cost, walk-ins are welcome. Let's strengthen and sustain healthy Black families together. March 28th, Evolve Church. Be there.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
You got the Wiz going on through Sunday. You got the Analysis live tonight at the Riverside Theater. You got Talib Kweli at the Miramar, where our very own DJ Brother Z is going to be opening up. I heard Zech is going to be dancing too. That's what I heard. A lot of stuff going on. There's a topic that I want to inject it into the show some kind of way, but it's such a large topic and it covers the part of African American culture that I think some of us are nostalgic about. I don't want to say it's destroyed, but it has not made it unscathed into the 21st century, and it's called the monoculture. There was a period of time where, and I look at, now socially it was a bad time for African Americans, but if you look at pictures from, let's say, the early mid 1940s through maybe the early 1960s, and if you saw pictures of black people, even if we were deep in the throes of both poverty and Jim Crow, we were dressed beautifully. Men wore these suits and these hats, and women had on these impeccable dresses, and they had pearls, and they wore the white gloves. In fact, there was no discernible difference in style of dress between black families and white families in that very unique period of American history. Now the culture has become a lot more individualized, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but the monoculture does not exist, and I think we long for that because there was a period of time where African Americans in this nation, we all received the same information and got the same messages, and it was easier for us to move in lockstep with one another. I want to get into the details of the monoculture, which I think crescendoed with, of all things, The Cosby Show, because every Thursday night, everybody was locked in at 7 p.m. on NBC, and we wanted to see the antics of Vanessa and Rudy and Lisa and Theo and Claire and Heathcliff Huxtable. And if they said something that was moving or emotional, we would all be repeating it the very next day. We all watched that show. And I've often argued that I don't know if you get a Barack and a Michelle Obama if you don't first get a Claire and Heathcliff Huxtable showing an upper middle class black family in New York living their best lives and raising their kids. It normalized the black family in a way that shows like Good Times didn't. And some of those other shows that were much more stereotypical and exploitative. It showed just a regular old black family and made it normalized. Let's pause there for a moment because now we're going to hear from... Hello, Al. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, but also keep in mind with those shows, even though it gave a lot of positivity, it still has some infidelities and secrets. But I also say where we are today, create your own family and your own excellence. You know what I mean? And then that will give people something to strive to, and also have pride in whatever you do. Because when you have pride, nobody can take that from you.
Amen.
But I know you brought up, people using the N-word. And I say this too, and I don't care if you're a man or a woman.
Uh-oh.
If you're going to use the N-word, I ask you kindly and respectfully, please don't have no gag reflex when you're using that N-word. Some people might respect you even more if you don't have no gag reflex. I also say to a lot of women who are very racist against black men, I would ask you respectfully and kindly when you use that word to first let two black men run a train on you. And then ask yourself, are they really that N-word? While they have stretched your body and took you to places you never knew you can go with your own kind. And then ask yourself that question. I don't know. I know you brought up the, AI has a freaky version. This is one thing AI cannot compete with. Somebody who had a half pint of Tito's or Grey Goose or a couple of lemon drops, a couple of Hennessy, or a couple of shots of scotch on the rocks.
Yes.
And you will be surprised what you can do with your armpits and the back of your kneecap. Bust it out. Okay? Get you some. And also, I want to say to the people who
hold on, wait, time out. Armpits and back of the kneecap, what can somebody do with those?
Well, you have to use your imagination.
Oh,
because it can be another vessel, depending on how you maneuver the body and the position. And I would like to also say to the people who are against black men, who are racist, stop tapping out. If you're going to be racist, you lay there and you take it. Okay? You going to earn the right to say that N-word. So when you go home to your husband and you pull down your panties and your lips look like two basketballs, then you can yell out, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And then he can be happy about what you did because he cannot respect that some things cannot go. So, Mr. Hughes, I told a good friend of mine, she cheated on her husband, and she said, I feel like I'm going to go to hell. I told her, don't worry about going to hell when you got your 11 inches of heaven today, and you're going to get you more tonight. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Okay, then. Thank you for that. That was very enlightening, and it was uplifting. It was very informative.
Why does the show always turn into like a sex show?
It's not my fault. I'm the victim in all this. I come here every morning, and I try my level best to put together a program that's going to be insightful and interesting, informative and educational. I'm trying to move the needle. I'm trying to provide people with information that they may not be able to get anywhere else. And here's the thing. Here's what I love about it. Sometimes I learn things in the course of the 3 hours, Monday through Friday, in which we do this. Today, as an example, I learned about armpits and the back of the kneecap. Yep, that's what's probably going to happen. So I never considered anything like that before. But see, I learned something today. I never even thought really about going to those places. So the discussions are unpredictable, to say the least. You never know what direction we're going to go in. The interesting thing about Al is he will take a topic that I discussed, like racial bias in the workplace that led to very costly settlements because of the prejudice and bigotry that exists in some corporate cultures. And Al will take that and turn it into, if they gonna call you the N-word, then they better earn it. No, that's not. When I set out to talk about that topic, it was the use of racial slurs in the workplace that can cost companies money via settlements and lawsuits. But Al turned that conversation into a cheating wife getting 11 inches and going to hell. You know what I mean? So I personally am the victim of all of this because I set forward to put together an innocent broadcast that's family friendly. It's not friendly for a family. But what do you want me to do, Xavier? I can't do anything.
Honestly, when you put it that way, you are the victim.
Thank you. Finally, somebody that sees things my way. It's hard to get back on track. Oh, I got some news for you guys. I am breaking a promise to myself. You know how I said I wasn't going to be interviewing any of the gubernatorial candidates? Looks like we're going to be speaking with State Representative Francesca Hong next week. We're looking at next week, Friday, so I am looking forward to having the conversation with her about her gubernatorial campaign and her particular brand of democracy, which tends to be a bit more socialist in its leaning. But don't let that term scare you, because whatever the meat and potatoes of Representative Francesca Hong's campaign is, it's working wonders on Democratic primary voters. As for the second poll in a row conducted by Marquette University Law School, she is, in fact, in the lead. And so let's just have a conversation with her. Going to have an easygoing chit-chat with State Representative Francesca Hong, who is a Democratic candidate for governor. The primary is in August. The general election is in November. And I got a whole list of questions. And X, if you have some questions for her as well, absolutely will entertain those. How can a self-avowed Democratic socialist put together a message for voters in a state that is currently red, but has her leading in the polls, at least amongst likely Democratic primary voters? So I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, here's the other thing. I'm probably going to have on all the other damn candidates, too. And I have been avoiding and ignoring them, and I wanted to do so until some of them started dropping out of the race. Because here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to interview 7 people. That's too much for me. There are a couple that have a higher likelihood of advancing to the general election. Let's get more familiar with them. Because interviewing all 7, and plus y'all would get bored. Because if I interview, by the time I got to the 4th or the 5th candidate, they'd all sound the same. And you wouldn't be able to differentiate. And then we start looking at stuff like who's taller, who dresses better, who's more attractive. And then we just get into, oh, I like this person versus I don't like that person. Who you like and who you don't like, put that off to the side. We need to support someone who can win. Because the alternative is Tom Tiffany, who is a junior version of Donald Trump. Now, say what you will about Donald Trump, okay? And you've heard me express my attitudes about Donald Trump 6 ways from Sunday. I don't want a version of that leading the state of Wisconsin. I just don't think it would be a productive use of our electoral power. So we'll see. I guess I'm starting my interviews a little bit earlier than I had intended with these Democratic candidates, but I also want to make sure that the public is paying more attention, because something else I noticed in the last couple of Marquette University Law School polls is that 60%, 70% of likely Wisconsin voters they're not paying attention yet. And I know that these next 5 months are going to go quickly, and there's so many other things that are going on. There's all the distractions at the national level and the war. We have to start turning our sights to what leadership is going to look like in the state of Wisconsin for the next 4 years. So maybe I can help shed more light and get more people paying attention to the gubernatorial race taking place in Wisconsin. On that note, I'm going to take a little break and do a little exploring of, what do you say, the back of kneecaps and armpits?
That's what he said.
The armpit would have to be shaved, though. You know what I mean?
Modern days, girls aren't shaving them sometimes.
I don't like that. I don't like it. You probably okay with it. You one of them.
Depends on the female.
No, it doesn't. It does not depend. No hair from the eyebrows.
If it's too hairy, then it's gross.
No,
I haven't come across any hairy ones
though. No hair from the eyebrows down. But that includes nose hair too. I was out with a lady not too long ago, and she had nose hairs. I was disgusted.
How do you feel about the arm hair?
Shave it. You shave it all. You don't need. Only one of us needs hair. You don't need to be two woolly mammoths all hugging up on each other, all hairy and hairy legs. Sorry, Sherwin, I don't shave my legs in the wintertime. Yes, you will, sir.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, you don't like hairy legs, but you like a hairy armpit?
This not too much hair.
But the legs for you have got to be smooth.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, leg hair.
And arms.
Leg hair is not. Sorry, I'm a little stubbly, Sherwin. Because that's how they sound when they don't shave their legs. And then when they shave their legs, then they sound like this. Yeah, I got to shave. Well, I didn't know we were going to do anything tonight. Had I known, I would have shaved.
Sounds like that's happened to you.
A lot. Yeah, sometimes. And they got to explain it and it's usually okay once they explain it. But I was like, don't let it happen again. I won't. You want me to go shave now? Actually, yes, I do. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Milwaukee, this is the night you don't want to miss. The Analysis Live is back, March 27th at the Riverside Theater in downtown Milwaukee. You never know who's going to step on stage. The Analysis has shocked the crowd in past years with surprise appearances by Giannis and Stephen A. Smith. This year, Ric Flair headlines the Analysis Live. The WWE legend, the Hall of Famer, the Nature Boy. You know there will be plenty of surprises. Friday night, March 27th at the Riverside Theater. Lock in your tickets now. TALiveshow.com. That's TALiveshow.com.
70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
Many of our most important memories are made at school. But for children like Victoria, the classroom can be a place of fear and isolation. She wore a bandage over her cleft every day, too shy to speak, too afraid to smile. Everything changed after one life-transforming surgery made possible by Smile Train. Today, Victoria's smile lights up her classroom, a symbol of confidence, connection, and new beginnings. Due to stigma, children with untreated clefts often miss out on school entirely. But thanks to Smile Train, students like Victoria are stepping into the classroom, raising their hands, and finding their voice. Smile Train partners with local experts to support with free cleft surgeries and other comprehensive care, empowering children to thrive in school and in life. Let's help every child walk into the classroom with confidence. Visit smiletrain.org/learn.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number is 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. Car number 7 wins absolutely nothing. You're not going to get anything except me and potentially some unsolicited advice. Let me take a little gander at some of the commentary on the YouTube. Oh, welcome back, JD the Poet. Haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're back with us in the chat. JD says, this show is not family friendly. It's definitely rated X. Well, that's not what I'm going for. Miles says, look at it this way, Sherwin. Al says out loud what you say on the low. No. When have y'all ever heard me talking freaky deaky? I don't talk freaky deaky. I'm very scientific and matter of fact. I'm very. What am I? Let me see.
You're very calm, calculated, and mellow.
I'm objective. I don't talk about freaky deaky things because that's inappropriate for the airwaves. I talk about the facts of things and the details and the data and the statistics and all of the math and talk about the numbers and the money and talk about the resources and the tax dollars. I don't be talking about the freaky deaky things. That's terrible to talk about that. This is a public broadcast. That's what this is. Praising the Lord and Brown Deer says, Sherwin, you just as freaky as Al. You know you like that type of stuff. You can stop it. Don't take his calls. I don't want to deny that man his ability to be able to share his thoughts. And here's the thing about Al. We've already gone through this. We had a trial on air. Should Al be given an opportunity to speak on 1017 The Truth? Al had 2 defense attorneys, Andy Positive and Miss Rose, may she rest in peace. And then Al had a prosecutor, which was Dion, the non-voter. You guys remember the trial. Dion, the non-voter, gave his case as to why Al should be permanently banned. And Miss Rose, may she rest in peace, and Andy Positive, as Al's defense team, they gave their sentiments and thoughts as to why Al should be allowed to continue to call into the shows on 1017 The Truth. And guess what we did? We had a vote, and you all voted via 833-212-1017. Vote 1 if you think Al should be banned. Vote 2 if you think he should be allowed to speak his piece. And when I say it was overwhelming, it was, in fact, overwhelming. When we have events, there's a line of people to meet Al. In fact, our first Beyond the Mic we had, which was 2 years ago in May, I'm walking around, I'm talking to people, I'm mixing and I'm mingling, and I see a kerfuffle. I see a gaggle of people just in a disorganized disarray. I'm like, what's going on? Are these people looking for me? Sherwin Hughes, the guest of honor, Beyond the Mic. Let me make my way over to the people because I am who they are here to see. And I'm like, what is all this commotion? Like, Sherwin, look, it's Al. It was a line of people to meet him. And everybody took pictures with him. What's crazy is, so our staff, and we had much different people working for 1017 The Truth at that time, they were the first ones in line. Like, our And I consider some of our hosts here on 101.7 The Truth, they're celebrities. They talk to the public every single day. They are famous people. Some of our most famous hosts and co-hosts and producers turn into groupies in the face of Al. I've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it. But Al is a very, very popular gentleman. And he's very smart. He makes a lot of sense most of the time. Here's the problem, though. When he calls my show, he gets freaky deaky. When he calls other shows, he's just very on topic, very matter of fact. But for some reason, when he calls my show, it's back of the kneecaps and armpits and hair. And you know what I mean? So I'm the victim in all of this. I don't know why anybody doesn't take my side, because I
think you provoke him.
No, I don't. He'll take any topic I bring up. I could be talking about the weather. Like, oh, it's going to rain. And then he'll call in, I heard you talking about the weather. You can make that woman rain if you just hit her right in her right spot. Al, that's not the kind of rain I was speaking of. Like, he'll take anything and turn it into a freak show. Within African American communities, a parallel form of shared cultural cohesion used to exist, often described in retrospective discussions as a relative monoculture. It was shaped by both mainstream and dedicated media institutions. This was not absolute uniformity. There were regional, class, generational, urban, and rural differences, but at the time, limited distribution channels fostered more of a unified national narrative amongst African Americans. And I think this is a time that we look back on with a tremendous amount of nostalgia, because now everyone is an individual. Everyone is out for self. It seems like the mindset of community has been reduced to that of the individual. Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to go viral. There is no mindset that we all need to move in unison, and I think it's harmful because collectively we have a tremendous amount of power. Every now and again I may remark on the spending power of African Americans, and we spend so much money. We are so incredibly vital to the American economy. And every now and again, we will decide to harness our spending power by boycotting certain businesses, won't we? And then we'll support other businesses, or we will threaten to withhold our dollars for a period of time, maybe 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, because we have a tremendous amount of power. Together we have the spending power of something like $1.2, $1.3 trillion. But individually, our spending is obviously much less. And so this cohesiveness of a culture is one of our strengths. The problem is the internet, and I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, because more good, in my opinion, has come from the proliferation of the internet than if we did not have it. All of your reference materials are available. All the information that you need right there at your fingertips. You want to know who to vote for. You want to look for a car. You want to look for a job. You want to communicate with people that live on the other side of the world. All of that is available at the touch of a button. You want to shop. You want to buy your groceries. You want to buy your Christmas gifts. It is all right there. And I think that that is a net positive, but it has so fragmented us that it's very, very difficult for us to accomplish the goals that still seem to be out of our reach, and that is equality. You used to could walk into any black household and there'd be a coffee table or a magazine rack, and what would you see? Essence, Ebony magazine, Jet magazine. I've got fond memories of seeing these magazines, not just in my home, but like a comfortable familiarity if I went to go visit friends or other family. Zach said they had plastic on the couches. That was the worst thing ever. I used to take naps on couches with plastic on them. That's torture, because then it'd be hot and you would stick to the couch and you'd be laying on the couch. Help me get up. I'm stuck to the couch because it's plastic. And so what's the point of, so you just keep the couch new forever and you just keep the couch for 75 years? What are you going to do, resell the couch? Nobody buys used couches, do they? But it was a comfortable familiarity because we were all consuming the same media. We all had the same information. We all read some of the same authors. And when you have a shared cultural mindset, it makes it a lot easier to move forward and progress toward equality. National magazines such as Ebony, founded in 1945, and Jet, founded in 1951, reached millions of black households, presenting curated portrayals of black achievement, black fashion, black politics and lifestyle. These publications, along with historically black newspapers like the Chicago Defender, created shared reference points on civil rights, black family life, and cultural trends that transcended local boundaries. Before the launch of black entertainment television in 1980, I don't even think BET is owned by black people anymore, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's not. Black viewers often converged on the same network programs featuring black performers or themes such as The Cosby Show from 1984 to 1992, which achieved exceptionally high ratings within black households and served as a cultural milestone. BET later centralized black music videos, black news, and entertainment, further consolidating shared viewing experiences. Sports figures like Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan and entertainers also functioned as near universal icons. There was a time where we had a monoculture. And this is not a bad thing, because we all had the same or very similar mindsets. Now, it's been fragmented, and it's also evident because now you have my generation. I don't even recognize the youth. I don't recognize them. The music, how they talk. And maybe that's just a part of me getting old, but there seems to be more cultural difference like within our race than there is between races. Our youth, and when I say youth, under 30, because youth is, I'm not talking about kids here. Even some adults are still considered the youth. The culture is so different. The music is so different. How they move, how they dance, what they prioritize is just so incredibly different to where it's unrecognizable. But that's just signs of individuality taking place and replacing the monoculture. You are listening to a different kind of monoculture. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back shortly.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com. Milwaukee Black Talk.
You don't want to be there. You don't like the work. You don't like the people. Now, there are some differences. The only difference is modern American slavery and capitalism versus 19th century. We were dramatically more primitive back then. And a slave that is able to buy their freedom is the same as the disaffected, disgruntled worker that is able to buy their way into entrepreneurship, because that for them is freedom.
Listen to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 101.7 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Bikers need protection, not just from other drivers, but unfortunately from insurance companies too. We've been fighting for injured bikers and their families for more than 30 years. Call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
Prizes, exclusive experiences, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting truthcontests.com. That's truthcontests.com.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to help. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan and a budget and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying a lot less than what they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey with Axe Housing at actshousing.org. That is actshousing.org. Your legacy begins at home. All right, guys. Talking about the black monoculture, where we were all receiving the same information and reading the same magazines and watching the same television shows, and we were all moving in unison because we were all receiving the same information. What the internet has done, it has prioritized individuality and individual success. Not entirely a bad thing, because we do need creative types to break off from the groupthink, but it also makes it exceptionally difficult for our community to harness its collective power. Because whenever you have a movement, right? Let's say we have a movement to boycott Walmart. Terrible example, because it would be damn near impossible, because they have so capitalized on and monopolized on our dollars. We're very loyal and very faithful to Walmart. There's always going to be people who are going to say, no, I'm not going to participate in that boycott. I'm going to shop. I'm going to spend my money there. Another home-hitting example of the elimination of the monoculture was some years ago. Two young ladies that I went to high school with went to Elsa's. Elsa's on the Park. You guys know about Elsa's. And they were having a very good time. There's the two sisters now, and they hadn't seen each other for a while, and they're catching up, and they're having a couple of drinks and having a good time. And apparently they got a little elevated and animated in their playful banter, talking to one another. They got a little loud. And the owner of Elsa's has a girlfriend, or that's what some call her. She proceeded to berate these two African-American women, called them horrendous names, threw generalizations and stereotypes at them. And this woman is Caucasian, the one that threw these racial epithets and horrible stereotypes at these two black women. And these two black women shared their story on social media. Well, I then shared the same story on my radio program at the time, and we were encouraging people to not go to Elsa's, because if the owner of that establishment, who was there, did not stop his love interest from berating two black women, and black people have been supporting Elsa's and buying food and drinks from Elsa's for 30 years. But if someone who was affiliated with that business, this is back in August of 2012, so this is a long time ago. But if the owner of the establishment would not step in or intervene when his love interest was berating two paying customers, we made it very clear people should stop going to Elsa's. So that happened on a weekend. It was like a Friday or a Saturday night. So that entire week, it was our topic of discussion. In fact, that topic, when I talk about some of the most popular topics I've ever discussed, that Elsa's topic, top 3, but then also the slap at the Oscars. That all of our shows talked about that for like a week when Chris Rock got slapped by Will Smith. But the Elsa's conversation was certainly up there. And so for all week, the radio station I worked for at the time, there were 2 black radio stations at the time. There was WNOV and WMCS. Both of our stations were telling people, don't go to Elsa's. Do not go. It's not a welcoming environment for us. It was made very, very clear how they feel about African-American women. So the next weekend rolls around, and I was very curious to see if 2 African-American radio stations saying the same thing repeatedly for a week, we're not going to go to Elsa's anymore. We also gave people lists of other restaurants they could go to that would love black people to come and spend their money. So we didn't say, don't go to Elsa's and don't go anywhere else. We're like, no, instead, here are some alternative choices, okay? So a whole week, WNOV, WMCS telling people not to go to Elsa's. Monocultural. We were on the same page. We don't want to go to a place and telling our community not to go to a place where we are not respected. So the next weekend rolls around, and I was going to do a little bit of a social experiment. I wanted to ride past Elsa's to see that place empty, or at least not see any African-American patrons, because for an entire week, the power of 2 black radio stations made it clear that we should not be going there. And so I parked my vehicle around the corner. I found it very unusual because parking was particularly difficult to find. I'm like, well, this is odd. Maybe there's something else going on in the area, something else happening in the Cathedral Square area where parking is at a premium. Park my vehicle. As I'm approaching, because Elsa's is on Jefferson, so as I'm approaching Jefferson, I'm just seeing piles of black people. Piles of us walking into Elsa's. It was absolutely packed to the gills. And so I expressed my disappointment, obviously, the next radio show, which would have been that next Monday. And you know what the response was? And here I am thinking that we're doing a throwback to the monoculture where black people are on the same page and all of us expressing our disappointment with disparate and negative treatment, especially at a place that we really embrace. Black folks love going to Elsa's, right? I wonder why so many people went. And it's almost like our requirement and request for people to not go had the opposite effect. I'll never forget this. There was a number of people that said, well, Sherwin, those 2 black women that were in there, they were rude and they were talking loud, and I want to take my black self into Elsa's and show them that not all black people act that way, that we're not all loud and we're not all rude. And then it went even further. And yeah, some black people don't tip, so I'm going to go into Elsa's and I'm going to tip extra heavy so that they look at me differently. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sometimes there is a sentiment that we think we have where we can change a bigot's behavior if we act in a particular way. Well, if we go there and if we're just very good and we're very nice and we're very quiet and we tip a lot, then they're going to like us. No, they won't. They're going to accept your money, obviously, but that is not how attitudes are changed. So the whole idea of the monoculture, maybe it is a thing of the past. Institutional and social anchors, black churches, fraternities, sororities, and community institutions played central roles in transmitting values, oral traditions, language patterns, including aspects of African American vernacular English and social norms. These settings reinforce cohesion in an era when mainstream media offered limited authentic representation and geographic mobility was lower. The Civil Rights Movement and its aftermath produced collective narratives of resilience and progress that permeated black public discourse through the 70s and 80s. Events, figures, and symbols from this period, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the March on Washington, formed a very common cultural lexicon disseminated via newspapers, radio, and word-of-mouth networks. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on March 31st.
Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Tampa Bay Rays.
And Yelich launches one.